Time for America's Talking with Firearms Friday. And we talk about this as the U.S. Supreme Court, not just dealing with tariffs this morning, but they're also in a conference where they're looking at 4 different challenges to gun control measures from across the country, including one controversial one out of Illinois that a lot of gun owners are looking for. They are in conference to discuss whether they take those cases. We'll find out Monday when they release their conference report whether or not they're going to take those cases. But in the meantime, state houses across the country dealing with firearms policies. And we start in Missouri, where State Representative Michael Burton, he was critical of a measure that did not advance. It actually got shot down. And that measure proposed increasing the age of who can carry firearms in public. Well, the state representative, he quoted one of his Democratic colleagues on the House floor in Missouri and critical of that recent vote.
Democratic Representative Donna Behringer said police in her district asked her for the change to stop 14-year-olds walking down the middle of the street in the city of St. Louis carrying AR-15s. Now they have just been emboldened, and they are walking around with them, Behringer said, until they actually brandish them and brandish them with intent. Our police officers' hands are handcuffed. I think legislation like this would reduce crime and would reduce crime regarding children.
Separately in Missouri, State Representative Mike Koslow, in a committee, he had a bill looking at certain types of firearms attachments. In his bill, it impacts firearms suppressors.
This is a bill having to do with firearm suppressors that are manufactured here in Missouri. It separates those that are manufactured outside the state and those that are manufactured inside the state. The issue right now with federal law is that they are regulating intrastate commerce using the Commerce Clause of the Constitution as justification. And so what we are asserting here is that any firearm suppressors that are made within the state, stay in the state, and never leave the state are immune to the Commerce Clause oversight and can be regulated by the state and not the federal government. So I'll take any questions.
Firearm suppressors, also regularly called silencers, and that measure in the Missouri House. In Utah, State Senator David Hinkins, he had a couple of different bills that he brought up, including one dealing with gun maker liability.
This bill amends the provisions that requires for certain claims arising from a firearm or a related item brought against a seller or a manufacturer of a firearm or firearm-related item. Trade association, and for certain rising claims from a firearm requires a court to dismiss claims that fail to meet specific requirements. And so what this bill basically does is holds manufacturers of firearms harmless because someone uses it in an appropriate manner.
In Utah, also, Hinkins had another measure exempting certain individuals from firearms background checks.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill exempts an individual from undergoing a background check for the sale of or transfer of a firearm that is related under the National Firearms Act if the individual has received an approved application within the last 30 days for the sale or transfer of a firearm from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. And it clarifies that federal firearms license does not need to undergo a criminal background check for the transfer of a firearm to the federal firearms license and makes technical changes.
Now, the issue of firearms possession was brought up in a couple of different state houses this past week. In Washington State, State Representative Dan Griffey, he said a measure that prohibits certain individuals from being able to possess firearms is a, quote, no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody has violated the trust and the requirements that has been imposed upon them by a court system, and where we say you can't have a firearm, and they have one, that is it's a great indicator of their ability to go commit homicide. This is a no-brainer. We agree.
In Tennessee, State Representative Ryan Williams had another measure that deals with who can purchase firearms, and he says his bill closes an important loophole.
So the first part of the bill clarifies that an individual who cannot possess a firearm under Tennessee state law or a court order also cannot purchase a firearm. This addition to the law would give consistency to the law. Without this change, there is a current loophole that allows some individuals to purchase a firearm in Tennessee, but then be subject to immediate arrest for the possession of said firearm. And so that portion of the bill is what cleans it up as well.
And finally, for Firearms Friday with America's Talking, in Iowa, State Senator Jason Schultz, he talked a bit about his bill that expands where people are allowed to carry their firearms.
The remaining divisions, Division 1 allows carry in public parking lots operated by state, county, city, township government. Gun must be out of sight in a locked car. Division 2 prevents DHS from having rules preventing carry in a vehicle transporting a foster child. Division 4 eliminates the 1,000-foot exclusion zone around a public park and changes it to an exclusion zone within a public park. I believe that is for enhanced penalties. It does not apply to parks designated as hunting grounds.
And that is America's Talking here with the Center Square Daily.